Ding Fanchio's gaze was calm. In the cultivation world, a cultivator would at least need a cultivation base in the seven-leaf nascent divinity tribulation realm to cast these Taoist madras. On top of that, they were caught in the witchcraft formation. This meant one would have to fight against the spell's corrosion as well. Just how powerful was his strongest expert under the heavens? Compared to colossal energy seal, Ding Fanchio's Taoist madras were as insignificant as ants. He had never seen such shocking Taoist madras in his entire life. Based on his knowledge, those who were capable of casting Taoist madras like these were Taoist grandmasters. He wanted to laugh at himself for impersonating someone like this. Meanwhile, the four female cultivators hovering in the air had a determined expression on their faces. They were confident they could dispel these Taiji golden madras. Unfortunately, when they launched their energy blasts, all they did was create faint ripples on the madras that seemed as vast as the ocean themselves. It was futile. A Taoist grandmaster? They exclaimed in shock as they looked at the shining golden Taiji symbols that were flying toward them. Bang, bang, bang. The moment the four golden circles caught them, they exploded and disappeared like fireworks. After the brilliant display, they turned into clouds of smoke and disappeared with the wind. An incredulous expression could be seen on everyone's faces at this moment. Ding killed 3 nascent divinity tribulation targets and 2 divine court realm targets, rewarded with 3,700 merit points. Fortunately, I didn't suffer any loss. After making the calculations, Zhou discovered Qinju alone was worth 1,500 points. However, he did not earn much. He had spent 2,000 merit points earlier. After all, he stroked his beard as he surveyed his surroundings. I didn't want to attack him, but it was easy for a nascent divinity tribulation realm elite archer like Qinju to fire 3 arrows per second. Zhou could not parry them all with critical block cards. Moreover, he would probably have to waste his impeccable cards as well. On top of that, rather than wasting his precious resources, it was easier to do things this way. Apart from that, there was no place for the other tribes under Great Yan skies. Unlike the Triverso, the Bai people branched out from the Great Yan citizens over the generations. After several millennia of surviving, they set down their roots here. They were aboriginals. The Triverso, on the other hand, was an other tribe since ancient times. Dear Emperor, what kind of people do you keep around you? Do you know that a person from the other tribe has infiltrated the palace? If only more of them would come here as well. Unfortunately, elites of this caliber were not raised in farms. For some unknown reason, after Qinju was killed, the grand witchcraft formation began to weaken. The bright red flying chariot began to fall as well, without the support of the 4 female cultivators. The situation on the ground was chaotic as the soldiers frantically tried to escape. The elite from the palace is so easily killed. The soldiers felt as though they were dreaming, finding this difficult to accept. Meanwhile, Zhou continued to look at the flying chariot. For an elite like Qinju, one of the 3 godly archers, to acknowledge someone as his master, the master would certainly not be weak. Boom! The flying chart crashed on the ground, raising a cloud of dust. After the grand witchcraft formation weakened, their vision became clear. At this moment, everyone's attention was focused on the bright red flying chariot. The red flying chariot was in pieces now. If there had been an elite in it, it would not have crashed to the ground. This meant there was no one in the bright red flying chariot in the first place. There was no so-called expert in there at all. After waiting for a moment, nobody emerged from the rubble. Zhou nodded as he stroked his beard. Empty? Fortunately, he had expected this when he used his 5 cards. The situation was still within his control. If a group of divine court realm cultivators had charged at him, he would have had a hard time dealing with it. Little Yuaner appeared delighted. She was the first one to break the silence. She giggled and said, "You're amazing, Master." Zhou stroked his beard and said calmly, "How are you feeling?" "I'm all right. I felt slightly dizzy earlier, but I feel much better now." Liu Yuaner said as she walked toward Zhou, "Is the supreme purity jade slip capable of repelling witchcraft?" Zhou wondered. The light purple glow from the witchcraft formation had almost disappeared now. There were still soldiers and cultivators around them who were waiting to attack. Zhou was not worried. After all, the remaining people were powerless to make him stay. He shifted his attention to Ding Fanqiu. At this moment, Ding Fanqiu was coughing violently. Zhou continued to stare at Ding Fanqiu. Initially, he had intended to buy a deadly strike card to deal with Ding Fanqiu immediately. However, when he saw that Ding Fanqiu was injured and afflicted by the witchcraft spell that greatly weakened his cultivation base, he changed his mind. With his hands on his back, he approached Ding Fanqiu. With Chunju dead, he had no choice but to try and get information from Ding Fanqiu. Whether he had to resort to torture or intimidation, he was certain he would be able to get something out of Ding Fanqiu. Upon seeing Zhou walking toward him, Ding Fanqiu struggled to sit up with great difficulty. He endured the pain from the arrow to his chest and kneeled before he pleaded. This junior has eyes but couldn't see clearly. Please forgive me, senior. As soon as he finished speaking, he was in a coughing fit again. The air he had put on earlier when he was impersonating Ji Tiandao could no longer be seen. Senior? Zhou stroked his beard and nodded. His expression was indifferent as he said, I think it's strange for you to address me as your senior. Ding Fanqiu endured the pain in his chest and said, It's unforgivable for me to impersonate you. However, I must still thank you for killing Chenju, and thus avenging my disciple. He shot his two disciples a meaningful look as soon as he finished speaking. Upon seeing this, Ding Fanqiu's two disciples quickly got on their knees and kowtowed at Zhou. Thank you, senior. Thank you, senior. Ding, you've been kowtowed at. Reward, 2 merit points. Insincere and petty hypocrites. There was no change of expression on Zhou's old face. He showed no happiness and anger as he stroked his beard and said, I have some questions for you, and you'll answer them truthfully. I will tell you anything and everything I know. Very good. Zhou gave it some thought before asking, Tell me your true identity. Ding Fanqiu no longer dared to continue acting. He replied, I'm Ding Fanqiu from Great Yan's Yun sect. These 3 are truly my disciples. Liu Yuan scoffed before she said, Aren't you ashamed of yourselves for impersonating the evil sky pavilion when you're so weak? Ding Fanqiu was rendered speechless. A 5-leaf avatar was not weak. Why did you impersonate the evil sky pavilion? Zhou asked as he stroked his beard. Ding Fanqiu hesitated slightly before he finally said, In response to your question, senior, many of the Yun, Tian, and Luo sect's disciples were killed by the evil sky pavilion. Centuries ago, the evil sky pavilion destroyed several thousand weapons of the 3 sects, dealing a heavy blow to our foundations. Since then, we've never been able to truly recover. I was ordered to... He paused at this moment. Say it, Zhou barked. I was ordered to impersonate the master of the evil sky pavilion and commit crimes everywhere. Ding Fanqiu reluctantly replied. Zhou shook his head and sighed softly. Yun sect is the head of the 3 sections. A grand sect of the noble path is resorting to such despicable methods. The evil sky pavilion has committed so many evil deeds. I was only ordered to give them a taste of their own medicine. Swoosh! A wave of energy sailed toward Ding Fanqiu at this moment. Smack! It hit Ding Fanqiu on the face. 5 fingerprints appeared on his cheek, bringing with it a burning and stinging pain. Senior, you... Ding Fanqiu stumbled back. He did not know what to do. However, he knew he did not dare to retaliate even if he was given a chance. I'll ask you again what's the secret behind that bone. After receiving a slap, Ding Fanqiu became much more subservient. He cradled his cheek as he said, There's a bone from the Bai people that can help a cultivator overcome the great limitation of 1,000 years. A confused expression could be seen on his face as he ventured softly. Senior, with your knowledge and experience, you must have heard of this before. A bone from the Bai people that's capable of overcoming the life limit of the cultivation world. Zhou searched his memories again. Since Ji Tiandao lived for 1,000 years and traveled across the lands, it was impossible for him to have no recollection of this matter. He fumbled through his memories for a while, but he found nothing. He decided to give up and continued interrogating Ding Fanqiu. Has this bone been found? Ding Fanchio shook his head and said, the palace has searched continuously for a decade and has not found it. The chances are even slimmer for us to find it. Little Yuaner snorted and said, fools! Nobody can overcome the life limit. The owner of the bone died, and yet you're hoping the bone can help you overcome your life limit. What a joke! Ding Fanchio was rendered speechless again by Little Yuaner's words. Zhou was reminded of Emperor Qin from Earth. The emperor scoured the land for a way to extend his lifespan. The people of the cultivation world had never lived past the limit. However, there was bound to be those who were unwilling to bow down to fate and wanted to try. Could it be that Great Yan's emperor is also unwilling to submit to the limit of his lifespan? While Zhou was lost in his thoughts, the soldiers and low-rank cultivators on the jetty began to close in on them. There were several thousand soldiers and hundreds of cultivators in the sense-condensing realm, Brahmin Sea realm, and the divine court realm. They've been affected by the witchcraft formation. They're powerless now. Don't be afraid. Trespassers will be executed on the spot. Zhou's expression remained indifferent when he saw the incoming soldiers and cultivators. Liu Yuaner flexed her limbs and said, Master, let me handle them. Zhou waved his hand and said, there's no need for that. Huh. A confused expression appeared on Little Yuaner's face. Bayan, 2 fists were no match for 4 limbs after all. Although Little Yuaner was powerful, it would still be asking a lot of her to completely defeat thousands of soldiers and hundreds of cultivators. Bayan emerged from the forest as soon as Zhou called its name. The soldiers and cultivators turned back to look when they heard the sounds of growling from behind them. What's that? A tiger? How can a tiger be here? The soldiers and cultivators were still confused when Bayan approached them. Its figure could be seen with increasing clarity. As expected, Bayan was not affected by witchcraft. A beast! Bayan roared loudly. The sound of it resounded throughout the forest. The soldiers' knees knocked against each other from fear and shock. It was apparent now that what they had thought was an ordinary beast was actually an extremely powerful beast. Only a powerful human cultivator could tame such a ferocious beast and turn it into a mount. At this moment, Bayan charged at the crowd. Mightiness and meekness formed a stark contrast. For a time, severed limbs flew everywhere. Run! Retreat! Divine Court Realm cultivators. Assemble! The cultivators with cultivation bases in the Brahmin Sea realm and below had no choice but to retreat. Meanwhile, the soldiers could not even withstand a single blow. They were all sent flying. Bayan's formidable combat strength was completely displayed before these insignificant humans. The Divine Court Realm cultivators launched their madras and flying swords. Bang! 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 The attacks from the Divine Court Realm cultivators did not affect Bayan. It only served to anger Bayan. Rarg! Bayan went berserk. It leaped into the air and pounced at the cultivators. One should not forget that, unlike Elephant King, Bayan could fly. No way! A flying beast. Crack! The cultivator who had spoken did not even have time to react before his bones were broken with just a single strike from Bayan. Bayan continued to rampage through the crowd. It was chaotic. Without a leader and discipline, the soldiers and cultivators were like a tray of loose pearls. In the end, the thousands of soldiers could only retreat in fear. Fall back. It's not affected by witchcraft. How's that possible? Bang! 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 Bayan took out a soldier with every swipe of its claw. It was extremely ferocious. The soldiers would not have been so afraid of human. After all, they could whittle away at a human's strength. However, they were facing a beast at this moment. Moreover, this beast seemed like it did not even know what exhaustion meant. The mortals are truly pitiful. With this thought in mind, Zhou gestured for Bayan to attack the cultivators. I've always been merciful. Leave the mortals alone. Deal with the cultivators. Ding Fanchio, his 2 disciples. Zhou's words sounded insincere. However, if the old senior wanted to say that, there was nothing Ding Fanchio could do but nod along. Meanwhile, Little Yuana was applauding and cheering. Bai combat prowess truly exceeded everyone's expectations. Many of the mortal soldiers were firing arrows from below, but their arrows could only scratch Bai hide. After Zhou gave his order, Bai no longer pursued the soldiers. It launched itself into the sky. This scene seemed like a recording from a game, Snakes. Ding. Killed a Brahmin Sea Realm target. Reward, 20 merit points. Ding. Killed a Sense Condensing Realm target. Reward, 5 merit points. Ding. Killed an early stage Divine Court Realm target. Reward, 100 merit points. Zhou nodded. He was pleased. Bai's combat strength was truly impressive. With Bai's help, he knew it would be easier for him to earn merit points in the future. Ding Fanqiu stared at the scene with his mouth agape. This is a legendary mount. Compared to it, Elephant King was like trash. At this moment, Elephant King was lying weakly on the ground as it made several meek attempts to struggle. It was not in the same league as Bayan at all. He could only shake his head helplessly. Bayan cleared away the low-rank cultivators in a short time. Most of the soldiers and cultivators had retreated. When Zhou saw it was almost over, he waved his arm and commanded Bayan to return. He had earned 800 merit points from this. It was not a lot. After all, these were only weak cultivators. Bayan obeyed Zhou's order. When it passed by Elephant King near the jetty, it looked down at Elephant King disdainfully from the corners of its eyes. Elephant King shrunk back slightly in fear as its body trembled. It was meek and subservient in front of Bayan. This was the difference between a legendary mount and an epic mount. It would not be too bad if they were not compared. However, once comparison had been made, it could clearly be seen that the difference was as vast as heaven and earth. Bayan sat on its hinds majestically next to Bai Zhou and little Yuaner. From time to time, it would bare its fangs, preventing the cultivators from coming closer. At the same time, the effects of the grand witchcraft formation continued to fade. Zhou frowned slightly. He did not understand why these soldiers and cultivators were still hanging around. Aren't they afraid of dying? He was going to continue interrogating Ding Fanqiu when two individuals flew toward him at breakneck speed. The auras these two people exuded caught everyone's attention. Did the palace send so many elites? Zhou was baffled by this new development. The two figures continued to move at top speed before they came to a halt, hovering above the grand witchcraft formation. When Liu Yuana had a clear look at the two newcomers, she jumped with joy and called out, "Third senior brother." Fourth senior brother. Zhou looked up. Indeed, it was Duanmu Sheng and Ming Shiyin. Duanmu Sheng wielded his overlord spear. He appeared majestic with his muscular body and sharp eyes. He looked like a god who had descended on earth. Meanwhile, Ming Shiyin, who was dressed in gray robes, looked strangely at ease and confident. He was smiling broadly at this moment. Master, both of them descended at the same time. As soon as they descended, a mighty shockwave rippled out. The remnants of the witchcraft formation were instantly dispelled by Zhou's two disciples who were in the nascent divinity tribulation realm. With the disappearance of the formation, the air cleared and their visions returned. Duanmu Sheng and Ming Shiyin hurried over before they fell to their knees and greeted Zhou, Master. Ding Fanqiu was stunned speechless by their amazing entrance. When he regained his senses, he turned to look at his two fake disciples. There's too great of a difference between the real deal and the counterfeits. Zhou stroked his bread and asked, "Why did both of you come?" Ming Shiyin bowed and said, "Master, I've obtained some information from Fan Xiuwen. He said there's a grand witchcraft formation here that's personally maintained by the elites from the palace. Therefore, I went to look for third senior brother and came here as reinforcements." Duanmu Sheng chimed in, "There are many elites within the palace. I know your strength is peerless, Master, and those people are not worthy of being in your presence. However, there's no need for you to waste your energy on small fries, Master. Please forgive us for taking matters into our own hands," Ming Shiyin said. Zhou glanced at Ming Shiyin. Ever since this fellow has seen the separation hook, he has become much more motivated. He's also more cautious compared to before. If he had known they were coming, he would have saved the 5 item cards. Alas, there was no use crying over spilled milk. In the end, he only stroked his beard as he said indifferently, "It doesn't matter." Mingshi and Duan Muxing finally rose to their feet and surveyed their surroundings. The effects from the grand witchcraft formation were practically gone. The jetty post-battle was a complete mess. Bodies were strewn everywhere haphazardly. Mingshi felt awkward. "I think we were late." Little Yuana ran over while giggling and said, "Third senior brother, fourth senior brother, look at these two counterfeits." Counterfeits? Mingshi was confused for a moment. When he realized what little Yuana meant, he was displeased. He strode over to the young man who resembled him and was lying limply on the ground. Bizazidi, Mingshi 100 Tribulations Insight Avatar appeared. The young man was dumbfounded. Mingshi spoke, "How dare you impersonate me?" At this moment, Duan Muxing walked over as well. He was about to unleash his 100 Tribulations Insight Avatar as well when Mingshi raised a hand to stop him. Mingshi said, "Senior brother, the Overlord spear is enough. There's no need for you to." If his senior brother unleashed his one-leaf avatar, his leafless avatar would pale in comparison. Ding Fanchio's disciple shuddered. He hastily begged for mercy. The one who impersonated Duan Muxing was too weak to even beg for mercy. He only prostrated himself on the ground as his body trembled violently. "That's enough," Lu Zhou said calmly. As soon as Lu Zhou spoke, Mingshi immediately recalled his avatar. Ding Fanchio was inwardly shocked. Indeed, the counterfeit's levels were too low. With how talented the disciples of the Evil Sky Pavilion were, how could they not have any breakthrough after such a long time? "Don't worry, Master. When I left Golden Court Mountain, I gave Fan Xiuwen another round of beating. I'm sure he'll be very cooperative from now on. Golden Court Mountain is protected by the barrier anyway. Outsiders can't possibly get in. He's really overdoing it." However, Lu Zhou did not chide Mingshi. Without the interference from the Grand Witchcraft Formation, the soldiers, and the cultivators, Lu Zhou approached Ding Fanchio again. Ding Fanchio looked up at Lu Zhou and asked, "Fan Xiuwen is in the Evil Sky Pavilion?" "It's not your place to ask questions," Mingshi said with a growl. Ding Fanchio's wizened face flushed red. Lu Zhou placed his hands on his back and asked, "Since you're from a Yun sect, who sent you?" Ding Fanchio stammered. He seemed to be reluctant to divulge the truth. Lu Zhou stroked his beard and said, "After this incident, you might be killed to ensure your silence. You're bringing disaster upon yourself." Ding Fanchio muttered to himself for a moment. Indeed, at this point, he had gone past the point of no return. Moreover, Lu Zhou had helped him avenge his female disciple. In the end, he said, "Hua Wudao, the elder of Yin's second enforcement hall." "Hua Wudao." Mingshi eyes widened as he said, "That old fart's still alive?" Ding Fanchio said, "Elder Hua has held a grudge against Old Senior ever since Old Senior had defeated him. It has become an obsession and a knot in his heart, causing him to be unable to make any progress in his cultivation base. So, what a shameless prick. He's only got himself to blame for being weak. How dare he blame someone else for being too powerful?" Mingshi cursed. Only someone from the Evil Sky Pavilion would say something like that. Back then, Hua Wudao was a 6-leaf Golden Lotus Avatar elite, and he specialized in defense. Even the 10 great elites did not dare to underestimate him. He prided himself on his defensive skills. 20 years ago, he declared that he had the best defense under the heavens. At that time, there had been no movements from the Evil Sky Pavilion, and it seemed like the Evil Sky Pavilion's strength was waning. He wanted to seize the chance and defeat Ji Tiandao to level up to a 7-leaf avatar. However, on the plains of Jing Province, Hua Wudao and Ji Tiandao had only exchanged one blow that ended in Hua Wudao's humiliating defeat. After all, at that time, Ji Tiandao was already an 8-leaf cultivator. Since that day, Hua Wudao became the laughingstock among the people on the noble path. This became a knot in Hua Wudao's heart, causing his cultivation base to stagnate in the past 20 years. Lu Zhou asked, "Where's Hua Wudao now?" "Elder Hua has gone to the Green Jade altar 3 days ago. Ding Fanqiu hesitated slightly before continuing. It said that he has gone there to discuss an alliance to defeat the evil Sky Pavilion. He knows about the matter regarding the palace fishing up bones from the river more than I do. Zhou remembered Jiang Aijin's letter. The Fiend Temple Master seemed to have gone to the Green Jade altar as well. These people are planning to gang up on the evil Sky Pavilion. The Fiend Temple's Weixin-chan was killed by Zhou. It was only natural that Rinbuping wanted to avenge Weixin-chan. However, Zhou did not expect Rinbuping would work with the righteous sect for the sake of revenge. The noble and fiend paths had never worked together since time immemorial. After all, the Fiend Temple was not far behind in committing crimes compared to the evil Sky Pavilion. Weixin-chan alone was ranked third on the blacklist. The Fiend Temple had absorbed many smaller factions over the years and had become a force to reckon with. When their elite, whom they had gone through much trouble to train, died in the evil Sky Pavilion's hands, it was only natural that they felt discontented. Zhou said with no inflection in his tone, "Since they want to deal with me, I should just head to the Green Jade altar directly." Upon hearing Zhou's words, Mingshi said in a voice that lacked confidence, "Master, the Green Jade altar is the righteous sect's territory. I'm afraid." Zhou glanced at Mingshi and said, "Mingshi? Yes, master." Mingshi heart hammered against his rib cage. Having one's full name spoken was not a pleasant feeling. "Are you afraid?" Zhou asked. Many years ago, when Mingshi had not entered the nascent divinity tribulation realm, he had run into Zhang Qiuqiu, an elite from the righteous sect, when he was roaming the lands and causing trouble. Mingshi was defeated, and he had been traumatized by that incident since then. However, his trauma was not as severe as Yun Sec's Hua Wudao's trauma that created a knot in his heart and caused his cultivation base to stagnate. "Why would I be afraid?" Mingshi asked. "That's good, then." Zhou nodded indifferently. Based on their perception in regard to cultivation, Mingshi was, in fact, more talented than Duanmu Sheng. Duanmu Sheng had joined Pavilion much earlier than Mingshi. However, Duanmu Sheng was currently not much stronger than Mingshi. Mingshi had too many distracting thoughts, and his intentions were not pure. Therefore, his avatar did not sprout any leaves yet ever since he entered the nascent divinity tribulation realm. Although they were both in the nascent divinity tribulation realm, if one's avatar had no leaves, one was not regarded as a genuine cultivator in the nascent divinity tribulation realm. With the addition of every leaf, a cultivator's strength would improve dramatically. "Junior brother, this is a great opportunity. Your 20-feet avatar is truly embarrassing." Duanmu Sheng patted Mingshi shoulder. Mingshi seemed to wither instantly. He muttered, "That's unfair." Liu Yuan waved her fist and said, "Master, there's also that Zhang Yuanshan. You should kill him. I can't stand that man for cursing you every single day." Zhou glanced at little Yuan. He wanted to reprimand her, but when he recalled Zhang Yuanshan's face, indeed, he found Zhang Yuanshan's face despicable. When Ji Qindao's battle with the 10 great elites ended in a draw, he had returned to the evil Sky Pavilion, wounded. The second attack on Golden Court Mountain was led by Zhang Yuanshan. That person was extremely cunning. If Luo Changfeng, the sect master of Heavenly Sword Sect, was not so ostentatious, the one who had died would be Zhang Yuanshan. When Luo Changfeng died, Zhang Yuanshan was the first to flee. When the incident was blown over, he came out again and publicly slandered Ji Tiandao. Zhou was certain Zhang Yuanshan was somehow involved in this secret meeting at the Green Jade altar. After a while, he turned his attention back to Ding Fanqiu. "Do you know who's behind the destruction of Fish Dragon Village?" Ding Fanqiu was puzzled. "Weren't you the one who destroyed the village, old senior?" This information was given to him by the Yun sect. He had even sent someone to investigate the palace. In the end, he confirmed that the culprit of the Fish Dragon Village's destruction was none other than the old man standing before him. Therefore, he was confused when he heard Zhou's question. He did not know how he should reply to Zhou. Zhou said, "Do you think I'm the culprit as well?" I don't dare." At this point, Zhou knew there was nothing left to learn from Ding Fanqiu. It was apparent that Ding Fanqiu did not know who the mastermind of this plot was. If they're capable of keeping these things a secret for a decade, they must be very skilled. They're definitely not ordinary people. After a while, Zhou waved his hand and said, "Take him away." "Yes, master." Mingshi was the first to reply. "What about them?" Little Yuaner pointed at the two counterfeits who were lying limply on the ground. They were the two young men who had impersonated Mingshi and Duanmu Sheng. When she pointed at them, they were once again frightened. They shrunk backward immediately. Mingshi lips curled upward as he said, "It's all right to impersonate me, but it'll be difficult for you to escape death after defaming my master." "So do we kill them?" Little Yuaner asked. I agree to have them killed. Cut them in half, that's the best way." Duanmu Sheng chimed in with a nod. "I don't think that's enough. Let's cut them into 8 pieces. Some elite cultivators are especially cunning. They'll only die when you cut them up thoroughly." Ding Fanqiu was rendered speechless from the shock. These are the real villains. After all these years, they had only been impersonating their appearances. They had failed to master the essence of these villains. Every word that came out from the devil's mouths made them shudder in fear. Ding Fanqiu's expression was grim as he mustered up his courage to say, "Impersonating the evil sky pavilion is my sin and mine alone. Please let them go, senior." Mingshi said with a smile, "I see that you're willing to own up to your actions. Alas, even if my master spares them, do you think they can continue living? They've been afflicted by the witchcraft trap. Their cultivation bases will deteriorate sooner or later. This spell is very difficult to break, unless you're thinking of begging my master for help." Ding Fanqiu's heart sank. There was no way he would be bold enough to beg this grand patriarch of the fiend path. Zhou did not concern himself with these 2 small fries. His 4th disciple, Mingshi was right. These 2 counterfeits would most likely die. He glanced at the sky. "It's almost time." Zhou was about to call out to Bayan when he saw a messenger bird flying toward him from the horizons. Little Yuana recognized it right away. She raised her hand, and the messenger bird obediently placed a letter in her hand. She said, "Master, it's a letter from that shameless guy again." Zhou, naturally, knew who Little Yuana was referring to when she said, "That shameless guy." He said, "Read it." Little Yuana opened the letter and read aloud. "Old Senior, you told me to investigate the Fish Dragon Village, but this will take time. However, I can provide you with the latest information. It's best if you don't go to the Green Jade altar. The evil king, your 8th disciple, is lying in wait outside the Green Jade altar. Finally, how amazing is the sword that you promised me?" After Little Yuana finished reading the letter, Mingshi and Duanmu Sheng's expressions turned sour. "I think Old 8th hasn't had enough the last time. How dare he lie in wait to attack Master with his cultivation base? That Master deceiving, Patriarch destroying scum. I'll head over there and skin him alive right now." Zhou raised a hand, interrupting his 2 disciples' tirade. He said calmly, "Old 8th has always been one to bully the weak and fear the strong. With his abilities, I don't think he's bold enough to try and ambush me." Mingshi asked in confusion, "Then what's he doing? Lie in wait at the Green Jade altar?" The righteous sect has always regarded itself as a member of the Noble Path. Although Old 8th has left the Evil Sky Pavilion, the Noble Path won't share the same opinion. The Nether Sect, the Crouching Dragon Darknet, and even Old 8th's Tiger Ridge Gang are their targets. I reckon Old 8th is trying to get revenge with this opportunity. Duanmu Sheng analyzed the matter confidently. "You have a point, but I still think that Old 8th doesn't have the balls for this. 7th junior brother must be the one behind this," Mingshi said. Zhou stroked his beard and said, "How powerful is Old 8th's organization?" Mingshi nodded and said, "Old 8th's personal strength is nothing much to speak of, but he has a group of trusted subordinates who listens to him. They're everywhere in the streets. The truly terrifying thing in this world aren't cultivators with profound cultivation bases, but the hearts of the people. War is what is truly terrifying. This had been the case since ancient times. Although fights between cultivators resulted in casualties, the lives lost were a far cry from the pain that war brought to civilians. Little Yuana interjected, "Eighth senior brother is trying to start a war?" Zhou shook his head. He waved his arm and said, "All of you, come with me to the Green Jade altar." "Yes, master." Duan Mu Sheng, Ming Shi Yin, and Little Yuana answered in unison.